In this video, I'll show you how to use the hole tool. So this is really useful, and it makes easy work of some of the more complicated features you might have to add. So you don't go into sketch mode, you just click on hole, and you've got a lot of options here for the hole type. Now that would just be a simple hole, which I typically don't use the hole tool for, but you can. Clearance hole, if you want to have extra tolerance for like a bolt or something, that would be a tapped hole, and that would be a taper tapped hole, which would be some sort of pipe thread, which I've never used. And then there's the seat. So if you're just going to have a regular hole without a counterbore, countersink, you select that. That would be a counterbore. A spot face, which is just a counterbore that isn't as deep, and then a countersink. And then here you call out your information. So let's say we wanted to make a counterbore hole. So we'll click on a simple hole, and then we'll click on counterbore. This is going to pop up. Now it's going to ask you about the termination. So remember, with a counterbore hole, you want the small hole to go all the way through, typically. Direction, that you shouldn't have to change that. And then these don't look like it, but if you click on this, you can actually put in the information. So just pay attention. So what we're looking for in this first block is the large diameter. I'm going to make that 1 inch. And then this is going to be the diameter of the counterbore itself. I'm going to make that 0.5, and then that would be oops, I'm sorry, that's the depth. That's going to be 0.125, and then that's going to be your through, the diameter on the through hole. And then you're going to need to find the position. So basically, just first of all, just click on the face. Don't worry about exactly where it's placed. And then before you hit enter or OK, come over here and click on the edges, and that's how you're going to dimension the location. So when you click on that edge, you'll see that dimension pops up, and just enter the value. And then click on this edge. Again, don't hit enter or OK until you do this, or the hole is just going to be randomly placed, and then say OK. So it made quick work of making a counterbore, especially if you have to have if you have to do a bunch of counterbores, you can just bang those out. You'll see it has a line item on the part tree. If you wanted to edit that, for example, if you wanted to edit the feature, like change some detail on that, you can do that certainly. Or if you wanted to edit the sketch, which would be changing location, right? So that automatically does that for you. So that would be a counterbore hole. If you want to do something different, like a threaded hole, so now think about this. So that would be a threaded hole, but you don't want a counterbore on it. So you make sure the seat is turned off. The seat is what the top of the hole looks like. And then when you click threaded, you want to make sure that you're in the right unit system. And we're typically either be using the ISO metric or ANSI unified screw thread. So that's what we're going to do. And let's do something kind of big so you can see it. Let's do a 7/8, and then you can choose fine thread or coarse thread. It really doesn't matter. It's just going to be a visualization. It will affect how the note is shown. You don't have to worry about the class. And termination, if we want it to go all the way through, or if we want it to have a depth on it, click on that, and then you'd input the depth and then the depth of the thread. Let's just make it go all the way through. And then likewise, you're going to have to click on the position. So just click somewhere on the face, and then click on the one edge. Put in the dimension to that edge, and click on another edge, input the dimension for that, and say OK, and you'll see it makes a threaded hole. Now it isn't a true thread, but it makes it appear like it's a threaded hole. But you can see that's pretty quick and easy to generate that. So that's the hole tool, and you're doing all this under the 3D model tab.